AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Welcome to the Marvel Mindset, a podcast from ex-Marvel CEO Peter Cuneo. Listen as Peter shares inside stories of what it took to turn around Marvel. Here's your host, Peter Cuneo.
Well, I'm Peter Cuneo, and welcome back to episode 9. Today, I'm going to talk about the sale to Disney, how it occurred, what went on, how the process worked. And then I'm going to do some comparisons of key numbers for Marvel, sales, market shares, valuations, what those numbers were when I first came to the company and what they were 5 or 6 years later. And I think it's important because you'll understand why Disney came to Marvel. And by the way, we were not trying to sell the company. Disney came to us unsolicited, but they saw the magic. And I will say this, you heard me talk in previous episodes about the Wagon Wheel and my strategic image, if you will, for growing the business. The only other company in the world in entertainment that was practicing the Wagon Wheel was Disney. Now, they would not have called it the Wagon Wheel. I'm not sure what they would have called it, but it was actually the same thing. They were doing the same thing. Their IP in the middle, and we all know their tremendous IP. And the spokes were basically monetizing the IP and the synergy in the rim between everything that they do. But they were a real machine. And it was very obvious to see why they came at Marvel. I've also said that one of the biggest reasons that I think Disney came to Marvel was the fact that we rejuvenated Marvel Studios and we were having tremendous success. And this is just me talking, but I feel we sold for $4.5 billion to Disney. And I think half the value came from the fact that we had our own studio and we were really doing well there. I can't back that up with any real numbers, but I think it was a very, very important event having our own studio. I think I mentioned before that Marvel had a studio in the mid to early 90s. It didn't work out, and so on. A guy named David Maisel at Marvel was the key driver in starting our own studio. There was a lot of skepticism, but he prevailed. He was unstoppable. And so another name that maybe doesn't get a lot of attention in the Marvel story, but David Maisel really sold the board on starting our own studio. And in that regard, we had raised over $500 million to fund that startup. And of course, that worked out great for us. Iron Man 1 was the first film, and we killed it. And we were off to the races with our own studio. So very, very important with regard to the sale to Disney. Now, some people may think that Marvel decided to sell the company. It was now 2009. I had come to the company in 1999. I had been the CEO for a little over 3.5 years. And then I'd been on the vice chairman of the board for about 6 years. And we were doing quite well. And you'll hear some of the numbers shortly. But basically, we were not looking to sell the company. Disney approached us unsolicited. People have said to me, Peter, why do you say that you sold the business for $4.5 billion? When you look at the original announcement, the value that's in the news releases was $4 billion. So it's a big difference. What's with that? What's the right number? So I have to point out that how the process works when a public company is bought by another company. In this case, Marvel being bought by Disney. Disney went out and only dealing with records that are public information. These are financial reports that are filed by a public company with the Securities and Exchange Commission. They're every quarter. These are press releases, sure they can look at the movies, at the comic books, and all of these things that are in the public domain. But they don't have any access to confidential information. And so the way the process would work is, and this is what happened with the Walt Disney Company, they approached us with a number. There was a negotiation on the number, and we found a number that we could agree to, which was $4 billion. But part of the deal was not just the $4 billion was going to be paid in cash, but also part of it in Disney stock. And I don't remember the exact percentage that was in Disney stock, but I'm going to guess and say it was around 25% of the purchase price. And from the time you announce a deal to the time you actually close a deal, and the acquisition closed December 31st of 2009, the last day. But the announcement was 3 or 4 months earlier. So what is happening is that the acquiring company, Disney, is doing what we call due diligence on the company. So they sign a confidentiality agreement, and now they can take a look at all the confidential information that is not in the public domain. That's all part of the natural process. So that process of due diligence can easily take 3 to 4 months. And while that process is going on, the acquiring company is looking to see if there are any negative surprises that might cause them to lower their purchase price or, in fact, even walk away. So the original announcement on the company being acquired is basically one that can be reversed or changed. It's all contingent due diligence. And when Disney finished its due diligence, they didn't find any reason to make any changes in the price. But what had changed is the price of Disney stock in that 3 to 4 month period had gone up. It had gone up for 2 reasons. One, Disney itself was doing very well. So the stock price was rising, and it would have risen even without Marvel. But investors could obviously see the tremendous synergy between Marvel and Disney and how the two could fit together perfectly, almost seamlessly. And so 2 wagon wheels, if you will, joining together. But the value during that 3 to 4 month period of the Disney stock had gone up. And since the deal was for a certain number of shares of Disney stock, in addition to cash, the value of the transaction went up from about $4 billion to about $4.5 billion. Someone could check me on that. I'm close. So that's why I quote a different number than you might read in the original announcement of the acquisition. So the Disney transaction, as I said, came at the end of 2009 and so on. And I want to present some of the numbers for Marvel, remembering that I came in 1999. Some of the comparisons of key, what we call today performance indicators that existed during that time frame that I was there with the company and how they all improved so much. I think we all felt that the turnaround, in a sense, the turnaround phase of the business was complete by 2002, which is, again, roughly 3 years, a little over that from the time that I came to the company. But none of us really realized how big Marvel was going to become, particularly on the international stage. That was something we didn't have a very good grasp of. We had been, domestically oriented for the most part. Don't go anywhere. More in just a moment.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
So here's a couple of comparisons to think about. First, Marvel's stock price. In the year 2000, the low was 80 cents. In 2006, when we started Marvel Studios up again, the stock was $26. Market capitalization is basically what the value of the company is on the stock market. What's the value of the stock in total, all shares added together. In 2000, shortly after I came, the valuation of the company was $200 million. In 2006, when we started Marvel Studios, it was $2.4 billion. Our comic book share in North America, when I first walked through the door, was 23%. In 2006 again, started Marvel Studios, it was 50%. Cash flow per employee is a very useful statistic that a lot of companies like to look at as a measure of productivity in the company. In 2000, the cash flow was negative, as we've talked about. We were draining cash. Net was going out the door for all the reasons we've talked about in previous episodes. But in 2007, just after Marvel Studios started up, the cash flow per employee was $1 million, which meant that every employee, in effect, on a weighted basis, but nonetheless put together, was earning $1 million for the company. There was a magazine called Licensing Magazine, which I think may still exist. In 1999, the year I came to the company, License Magazine estimated that the worldwide value at retail for all Marvel's products and services, so this is retail prices now, not prices we would sell at necessarily. The value estimated in 1999 was $400 million. In 2005, 6 years later, it was $5 billion. And finally, talking a little bit about live action films. On the eve of starting up our own studios, we had released by the end of 2006, 13 films. And we had the number one standing in all of film history as measured by the average worldwide box office for our films. Nobody was close. If we just took the average, and this is the fundamental reason we were able to raise over $500 million to finance our own studio. We were number one in history and continued to be number one. Well, that's it for today's episode. Really appreciate all of you tuning in, viewing us if you are. And we'll continue next Monday again with our next episode. And that one, we're going to be talking about our turnarounds for you. Our turnaround is something that you would like to experience, work at, and so on. I get that question a lot. I've done 7 turnarounds, and we're going to talk about the pluses and minuses of being engaged in a turnaround. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.